Well.
All right, Sunday, Monday, Slappy Day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Slappy Day. What's slapping number on this episode?
Did you hear something?
This is episode number 257.
All right, catching up here at my age. Welcome, everybody, and welcome to SlapperCast, our weekly podcast. This is two weeks in a row we've had the whole gang here. How is that? How is your parole, Heidi?
It's good. It's really good.
Yeah.
Coffee and everything.
Wow, freedom. Freedom tastes good. Yeah. Well, hell, rock and roll. Let's go.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be doing little Elvis. As most of you know, that he celebrated a birthday last week.
Oh, it's your birthday. Well, who are you, George Washington?
Among the four of us, I would believe we have two lifers as far as fans go. I don't even know. I don't know if I can qualify that. Heidi, were you a willing participant, or was it one of those things that was just playing so much in your house you had to bear it, or were you an Elvis?
I was willing. Yeah, I liked it. My dad was an Elvis nut. Probably had every album, and he would play the LPs.
Well, I'm learning from you, Pops. I'm learning from you.
But I always liked it. And he picked some of the good ones that were his favorite. Or maybe those are the ones I heard the most. But,
yeah,
there's certain of the songs that I like just because I heard them every Saturday morning or whatever, And then there's some that I've kind of recently heard that either I forgot about or they're new to me. But I don't think there's one that I don't like. So,
wow,
anyway,
okay.
Yeah, I grew up with it.
I'm curious, Turbo, you being the baby of the band.
Oh, my sister, Mrs. Baby.
Do you have Elvis connections? Do you have, obviously, I don't believe that you can live in the United States, and there's very few places on the planet that you can actually, walk through without, being Elvis free. Are you, what's your relationship to the king of rock and roll?
I mean, it was probably more on the minimum side. It wasn't like it was constantly playing from my parents when I was a kid. I don't remember that being always on, but it was on. It was in their rotation. I mean, I always just liked it, but it wasn't something that I was like blasting in my boombox in my bedroom. It wasn't something that I would do. It was more my parents.
Yeah, Shania Twain had that slot. I understand. And Chad, what was your Elvis connection?
I really discovered him sort of in reverse, going backwards through the influences of the Beatles, primarily. It could have been different. I mean, my mom actually was a huge Elvis fan when she was a kid, and she went out and bought like all of his singles whenever they came out on 45, and she had this little really nice case of all the little 45s that she'd collected, and she laments to this day that one of her older brothers borrowed it took it to a party and lost it, and she never saw it again.
Aww.
So,
oh, you gotta be kidding.
Yeah,
let's just have a moment of fucking silence right now. Let's just.
Yeah, I know.
Fuck, man.
But the thing with my mom is kind of funny is that she obviously she could have gone out and bought more Elvis records when I was growing up, but she's never really listened to the stuff she listened to when she was a kid. She's always looking for new stuff. She's done that my whole life. She's always listening to whatever's new, and so I learn about new music from her. But so I never heard Elvis growing up in the house. I was in the 70s. It was always Stevie Wonder or Simon and Garfunkel and other stuff that was a little more current. So I didn't really get into Elvis and think until after it was like early 90s, because it was around the time that the Beatles put out their Live at the BBC collection, which was mostly a collection of covers that they played that they never actually put on any of their records officially. And there's a lot of Elvis on there, including That's All Right Mama. It was my friend Alejandra. We were listening to that, and she goes, "God, Paul does Elvis so well." And I started getting curious about those songs, so I started going back and listening to the Sun Records stuff, and really started digging on that for the first time. That's where I connected with it first, and then it wasn't until much later when I met you, and you were playing me stuff like Kentucky Rain and Burnin' Love and all that stuff that he did in the early 70s. So I love like the whole gamut of it now. The stuff that's maybe too difficult for me to listen to because it's just not my thing is all the gospel-y stuff. Everything he did was just gold. because he always worked with
However,
the greatest musicians.
I'm with you on the gospel stuff, but I mean, however, the production and his voice, you've got to separate the two. You've got to take that because even if you're not a fan, even if you're not an Elvis fan, and I have to say too, this has been bugging me. I woke up with this. There's nothing more tiring. There's nothing more stomach upsetting, stomach churning, nothing more just god awful than an Elvis impersonator or somebody trying to do Elvis's voice that can't do it. You know, and what I mean is, it's like an impersonator who's doing a voice that doesn't sound anything fucking like it, but they believe that it is, and they're giving it everything. And it's so this bothers me to no end. Even more than people doing covers of songs, you know, poorly, like, you know, diluting these already tired songs and making them, you know, and using a music stand and backing tracks. But
Lady, I don't know what the hell you talking about.
there's nothing there's nothing that just gets my goat more than somebody that's trying to sound like Elvis that does that. Just to me is the most tiring. But and I do it all the time, and I do it for my own enjoyment. I'm not saying I sound like him, and I do not for a second believe that, you know. But so anyway, when you take to production, you take the, you know, his voice and how he used his voice, and people don't understand. I don't think people recognize the timing that man had, that internal clock that was the meter, his sense of timing vocally and on stage when you see him, you know, do the karate moves or whatever. I mean, that kid had it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no question. Just had this, you know. So again, I'm with you on the gospel stuff. A lot of that shit was, you know, to me, it felt like pay me, you know, you know, I've done the country rock, I've done the, you know, put, you know.
As long as you don't try to pay me off in cotton candy.
Didn't he grow up with the gospel music? I think that was his background, was gospel. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. So yeah, for him, that was just like home. If you've never heard him sing "You'll Never Walk Alone," his voice on that song.
Yeah. As I was saying, I mean, obviously everything he did incredibly well. You said, I mean, Patrick, you said before that he almost like didn't seem like he was even capable of singing a wrong note in a way. Like his pitch was always perfect, pretty much. I mean, even at the very end, you know.
Yeah, those last videos, those final days, you know, the piece of footage, you know, where he was just quite large, and the voice wasn't close to deteriorating.
No.
Speaking of final days, that's why I put my name as way down. I was trying to look to see what was the last song.
Oh.
So, you know, I was like, I'm going to do a little homework here. I was like, I'm going to do a little homework. And I was like, that's what I found was Way Down was the last single released before he passed. So I was like, that's
a great song too, man.
My number one today.
I have that on vinyl.
You know, you brought up impersonations, and I grew up only a couple hours from Las Vegas and an hour from Laughlin. So Elvis impersonation was just humongous. You know, I kind of, when you said that, it sparked all these memories. I was like, oh my God, I just remember, I remember seeing that all the time. There was always, that was kind of a, you know, part of a thing. So I don't know if I liked it or didn't like it. I mean, I was so young, I don't remember, but I just remember that being very heavy in that area, you know, of where I lived.
In Phoenix too, there's all kinds of tribute shows. They did one last week at Talking Stick. The band I play with, Daisy Train, is also the band Superhero, and they did a Elvis tribute. And their frontman, Matt Harris, does a really pretty good job of Elvis. But he grew up with Elvis too. So, I mean, he loves it. But he gets the moves down like you wouldn't believe.
Really?
He's good at it. It's fun to watch. But yeah, there's a bunch around here that are not so good at it. But God bless him for trying. I wouldn't even try. Holy moly.
Yeah. I think it's a very forgiving audience from what I've seen, because some of the bigger names, or I can't say, I don't know the impersonators. I'm not a fan per se, but it seems like the audience is pretty forgiving, because I've seen some of the finalists in these things, you know, and I was really, that's a Yeah, that's
Yeah.
no. I mean, his style, like Prince, for instance. I don't ever want to see a Prince impersonator, ever. I don't know if there is such a thing, but I don't want to see.
I'm sure
I
there
just
is.
don't want to see that because he is so far in his own. He has his own
Yeah.
world. Do not try to penetrate those walls. Just leave it be. Same thing with Elvis. To me, just because I am such a fan, because I've enjoyed his voice my entire life, and I've just enjoyed I love the Vegas stuff as corny as Poke Saladani is, and I mean I hate Tiger Man. That's goofy song. I think I've killed it many episodes ago, but it's one of these what I call the cop out blues. It's just I woke up this morning, my baby left, yeah, I mean yes, yeah, we fucking know it. Just erase that fucking song and go on and do something. Just go out and mow the fucking lawn. Do something useful. Don't fucking
How would you like to kick me in the shin?
I just dig his enthusiasm, the way he's in the special, the acoustic where he does that acoustically in the special.
Yes.
His enthusiasm for that, all the stuff he's playing is just so infectious. Yeah, it's not a good song, but
yeah.
if anybody's going to sing it,
Yeah, do they have to though? I mean, they could have gone to a commercial break and made money, or I mean, it's to me. Yeah, anyway, but obviously, I'm far too opinionated for here. I appreciate you guys letting me come on anyway, but Elvis's world, Elvis's the empire that he built. And we did the Elvis Festival back in the day. We had to do Houston Salutes the King of Rock and Roll because Elvis is that the Elvis Presley Enterprises they've got a tight grip on their on the name. They own and they guard it.
Yeah.
They're militant with their so you can't do. There was the Velvet Elvis pub here in Houston, and they went through years and years and years. See, he just found out about Tiger Man. He was like, "Fuck that shit."
It's a hound dog. Here you go, fella.
We want to
so
hang.
you're talking about the Velvet Elvis.
Yeah, just the legal nightmare that they found themselves engulfed in with naming them. With putting Elvis in their name, they got just bulldozed, and right, so they guard it. They guard their name. They guard the trademark, and but we were trying to do an Elvis festival, and I forget what the charity was. We were raising money for something, but they wanted an upfront fee, a cut of the profits, a cut of the. I mean, it was just going to be. I mean, I can't remember the numbers, but it was going to be 95% to them. After everything was said and done, it was some horrendous cut. So anyway, we bypassed it by Houston Salutes the King of Rock and Roll, or something like that. But our festival was supposed to be, just a bunch of bands doing their versions, their covers of Elvis songs, not in the style, unless you wanted to do it in the style, but it was very interesting to me how many bands were very, very, very interested in doing an Elvis, production, be it in style or be it whatever. So I love the enthusiasm in that, and I think too it's a great angle because there's so many songs you can do. You can you could just spend eternity going through Elvis tracks and B-sides, and there's so many records that way down. I'd completely forgotten about that one, Turbo. That's such a great number.
Yeah, I was listening to this morning. Oh, you just reminded me of a story about there was this Elvis impersonator guy, and I wish I could remember his real name, but he was kind of known in my hometown, small town, but he always was dressed up. And I was outside of Taco Bell one time, and he was there. And kind of the people I was with were kind of making fun of him. And so I went up to him and asked him, and I said, "Hey, does it bother you that people make fun of you like that?" I just asked him. And he's like, "I don't care." And I was like, I love this guy. Like, and then every time there I saw him, I was like, that dude's awesome. Like, he's just living his own life. Like, I had this whole new, perception of this guy. Like, I'm like, anyway, it just reminded me of that story. I forgot all about that, but anyway, it just popped in my head. So, kudos to him. But he's like, man, I'm just gonna live my life like this. I don't care.
Anyway. Yeah, I really do. I have to admire people that go in that direction, that want to, devote their life to, or they want to try to make a living from, fair play to you, but I don't understand it. I couldn't do it. I certainly have a hard time remembering what the fuck I did yesterday. Never mind, somebody else.
I think I should have you put in a home for the silly.
So let's just run around here. Let's start with Heidi, and we'll just go Heidi, Turbo, Chad, and me. Let's get a handful of your favorite Elvis tunes.
All of them at once or one at a time?
You can just rapid fire, or whatever you want.
Okay, well, it's really hard to pick the favorites. So one that is stuck in my head that I had not heard in a long time, and I heard it again the other day, Fool. And the reason that melody is so good. And then the way he delivers it, his voice, it's just incredible. And I had forgotten about Fool, but that is one heck of a song. That's maybe my favorite ballad of his.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then another song that I love that a ton of people did, but Elvis's version of Always on My Mind. We did that in a tribute show, obviously off the Willie Nelson spin, but and my friend that passed is the one that sang that one. But that one, between my dad loving that song and playing it all the time and being on stage when Rick performed it, that one I'll never be able to let go of. That is one of my favorites. Trouble. I love Trouble from the New Orleans. That's a good one. Everybody's like, well, what's your favorite, early Elvis song? And I can't pick one. They're all good. But the very first one that he did at Sun Records that got him on the map. It was the first song that Phillips said, that's it. That's that bright new rock sound that I'm looking for. Get it on the radio. And it was the first one he put on record with Scotty Moore and Bill Black, who then became his guitar and bass guy. The That's All Right.
Oh yeah.
So that might be my favorite of his early stuff. I don't know. I could list a ton, but I think right now those are my top. Oh, and Runaway, because my dad always played that, and I like the little piano part.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Turbo, give us some favorites.
All right. So, since I'm not a super uber Elvis fan, what I did for this is I'm just going to hit next, and see which songs grab me right off the gate. And so these were the two that popped up. I seeked out way down. So I was searching for what was the last song. So I have that on my list. But the two I have, one is For the Heart and U.S. Mail. I think these two songs I like. And that came up in my list of tracks. So I think those are going to be my two that I'm going to put in there for right now.
Wow.
I don't even know if those are his and redid or who wrote them or who did what. But
it doesn't matter.
I like
if he
these
did
two.
It. If he did it and it hits you, that's good. Chad, what you got?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, That's All Right. That's All Right, Mama, and My Baby Left Me are always at the top of my list because I love those. They're essentially the same song. They're both written by Arthur Crudup, blues guy that he got that from. But it's I don't know where to stop. There's All Shook Up, Don't Be Cruel, Baby I Don't Care. It's one of his movie songs. I just love that song so much. Bossa Nova Baby, Such a Night, Viva Las Vegas, Burnin' Love, Kentucky Rain, just from his later period. Patrick and I have spent many times sort of listening and analyzing and laughing about that song because it's just so brilliant.
Yeah.
So brilliant. That's just a short list. But there's his cover of Memphis, Tennessee with Ronnie Tutt's drum intro just kills me every time. Of course, I've talked a lot about Jerry Sheff, who was his bass player for most of his latter period. Absolutely brilliant player along with Ronnie Tutt. That band was just absolutely incredible. And that's the thing that Elvis was just so good at picking the good people to play with. And as Jerry Sheff described the stuff that they used to do as punk lounge or lounge punk, because they just worked it so hard. Because he said that Elvis basically demanded that they kick him in the ass to give him more energy by really making the stuff busy and energetic. He worked those guys so hard. I think that they were in rehearsal like all the time.
Yeah,
This is one of those things you get me talking. I'm not going to shut up. So somebody
I know.
jump in.
How many songs has he released?
Jesus, there's no telling.
Thousands.
Yeah, yeah. There's no. But I mean, back in the day too, you have to remember too. What especially in his heyday. I mean, he could just belch in a fucking microphone and release it, and it was going to number one. He was just there was nothing he could do no wrong, and there was and he it still didn't look like he was milking that. I mean, I say that Colonel Tom Parker made sure that the phrase "milking that" became their merchandising and their grip on that pop culture at that time. I mean, he just every time you turned around, he's selling something else, and it was there are some great documentaries, and there are some great. I didn't. A friend of mine in Mississippi had asked me to watch that last Elvis movie that came out with Tom Hanks and that kid. I don't even know his name. And I watched the first 5. I can't fucking take it. I can't take
I can't see it.
Yeah, I can't take that candy coated. Yeah. So let me start with the again. We have so many overlapping songs.
Of course.
I mean, just because of Such a Night, If I Can Dream. I still like Suspicious Minds. You would think after this many fucking years, I would hate. I still like Suspicious Minds. Of course, I got Kentucky Rain, Roustabout, all these kind of, Viva Las Vegas. I still Burning Love. So I can't, discount these songs. I can't even, suppress them a little bit because they're so. They have such. My mother has so much to do with this part, but she has a Polaroid, or those cameras that you used to look into to take the pictures. It might have had anything on them, but she took a photograph of Elvis in concert, and she was way up in the rafters. But you could see the gold lame jacket, black and white picture, but you could tell it was a gold lame jacket, and the stance, the outline of that figure, and it's minute, it's minuscule.
Oh, that's cool.
It's it, but you can fucking tell. You hold the picture and you're like, holy fuck, this is it. It's God on on this little black and white thing, and it was. I mean, just even today, I'm just blown away that she was there. She had, she got to. I guess I'm sure she didn't hear a fucking word with all the screaming and stuff like that, but. That to me has never been, nor will it ever be, replicated. I don't think that's ever going to, that moment in time is done. There's so many, and again, getting into the movies, his work ethic was, we're told was just unsurpassed. There's nothing that, he did everything. He learned everybody's lines and he learned it, and then they put him in the shit, they put him in the bubblegum movies. And I really do believe that he could have been a tremendous actor. I think he could have been, with the right crew around him, with the right script, and on and on and on. But it was just, that's where his soul was eaten alive in front of him when he had to do those. I still love to walk into a fucking restaurant and start singing for no fucking reason, like was 90% of the fucking, of the scripts were, now go in there and start singing and everybody's going to dance around you. Like, all right, I got Before I Die, Waffle House, you're on notice.
I was thinking about this, when we were talking about, because we've been messing around with, Little Less Conversation recently, and I went and looked up the I forget the name of the movie. It was one of his later movies. This was 1968. That song was written for by Mac Davis and somebody else. I forget who the other guy was. Great song. What's sad about it is that the performance of it, Elvis never did it live, and it may just be because at this point in his career, with all those songs that were written for him in the movies, he was just so tired of that whole thing. If you listen to you look at that scene where that song appears in the movie, and you compare it like to an earlier film, which I also don't remember the name of. I'm not sure if it's Clam Bake, whatever, where Baby I Don't Care appeared, where they used to play that video, that clip from the movie on MTV as a music video because his performance in it is so electric. He's just magnetic watching him. You compare that to Littlest Conversation in that movie. He's just kind of walking through the scene. He's sleepwalking through the scene. There's no dancing. He's just kind of very lifelessly kind of mouthing the lyrics. Maybe that's how he was directed, but to me that just seemed indicative of where his heart was with that stuff at the time. He's just like, God, get me out of here. You know, he wanted to perform. He didn't want to do the stupid movies anymore.
I'm not gonna go to work for the Great Southern Hawaiian Fruit Company.
So it's a shame because it really is a great song with terrific musicianship on it, like all the stuff.
Better than any movie, I think, performance-wise for him. It was his Vegas stage production show version of C.C. Rider with the backup singers and the horns and
oh yeah.
It's where you see his like talent. Well, I mean, everywhere, everything he does, you see his talent, but just that the way he can deliver that one song and with all that going on around, I don't know. That's like where I think it just highlights like how great.
Oh God, yeah.
It's on stage.
That song, all that stuff, but he's almost like a superhero the way he performs that song.
That's a good way to put it.
Superhero. Fucking cut.
What do you think it is, a ham sandwich?
Yeah, he is a fucking super. When you see, da 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 da, the big fucking intro and then to break in, there is nothing. I don't think that there's anything better. We used to talk about having that intro. The da 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 da. Having that intro.
That'd be so cool. Oh, that'd be so cool.
There's nothing better.
There's so many good examples of this from those performances, the footage of him performing in those shows. This is the thing I always loved about Elvis is that he's enjoyed performing so much. He would crack himself up, but he'd do some silly move. He'd do this, and then he'd kind of chuckle at himself at something he just did, or he'll vocalize something in a silly way, and he'll start laughing.
Yeah,
I love that so much. I love that, and that's just one of the things I think that makes him so awesome was his sense of humor. That's true with every artist that I admire. They all, none of them took themselves too seriously, and he definitely did not. I adore that about him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's another thing that like I was saying that his rhythm, his sense of timing, his internal clock, all that stuff was second to none.
The rhythm has to just sort of ooze out.
His humor was also when you see him in interviews and stuff like that. I couldn't tell you who would be better, who would be funnier, but the early Beatles interviews where they were on, when all four of them were on. Mm-hmm. Now, granted that they all had each other to play off, but their retorts and their humor together to me was unmatched.
Legendary, yeah.
So when you see Elvis in a press conference, granted now he's got nobody to go, he's feeding off the questions, but his, back in the day when he was on form, those interviews were just brilliant. And the candid recordings from rehearsals and stuff like that. That shit that he would throw out there was pretty fucking good.
Y'all listen to me. I'm good. I'm good.
That was another part of the thing. And I believe that was an ingredient that put him in that atmosphere, that so few people ever get to occupy,
Lord have mercy.
How old was he when he first released the song?
How old?
1954. His first release, I think, was 1954. Like first official release, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he was a teenager, like a 16
or 18, 19, or 20.
Yeah.
This is crazy. These songs are like 60 years old, like.
In answer to your question, Turbo, I don't know if I have a favorite album, because to me, his catalog was so scattershot in my, when I picked it up, because I was hearing all these, of course I heard all the early stuff early on in my days. And, but later on, when I really started getting into it, that's when I kind of went Vegas years, gospel, little, this and that, so I was all over the map. I don't even know if I have I have a few vinyl records, and I just don't listen because the CD compilations that I have books and books and books of these CDs. And so I it's all number one hits, or the recording sessions, or the outtakes and the B-sides and that kind of shit. So I don't have any reference of.
The reason why I ask is, if you get somebody who, let's say, didn't grow up with Elvis or it wasn't influenced in their family, like we said earlier, there's so many songs, so many things. Where do you recommend them to start? Where's the average? Everybody knows who Elvis is, but where do they go? Say there's people listening to us right now, and they're like, "Where do I even check out? What do I do?"
Yeah,
where would you
that's
recommend first?
the greatest thing that we have going right now is the accessibility of this music. Just touch your fucking screen or just say it into your fucking phone and you got it playing. However, I would immediately start with the Vegas years, only because the musicianship, the harmonies, the like Heidi said, the production, start to finish. And if you can watch it, don't watch it on your fucking phone. Watch it on a TV. Watch it on a good system, because all these artists, your John Lennons, your Tom Jones, your Barbara Streisands, your all these people that were huge fucking fans, they worshipped him for a reason. There's a reason why so many roads lead to Elvis. Because his reach, his music infected so many. And if you start off on if you're into rockabilly, then just start at the beginning. If you're into more, mainstream rock and roll, then I would go to the Vegas stuff. If you're just into, harmony, melody, blah 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 blah. There's so many places, but again, you can't go wrong if you're a music fan. I believe.
I think the big Vegas type album is just called Elvis. And then probably like that one of the early ones that has blue suede shoes is Elvis Presley. And then the King Creole I would recommend to anyone that's new to Elvis, because that's
a great record. That's a great fucking song too.
Yes.
Wow.
I heard somebody say that's actually one of his better movies is King Creole.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
I don't know. But I watched a video a while ago of somebody who was doing a retrospective of, I watched all the Elvis movies, and he does a little review of each of them. And I think that was the one he said, this one's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Elvis Presley is like the stamp of the early stuff. And then the King Creole and then there's the gospel album somewhere in there. And then Elvis, the Vegas. That to me, it's like you go from Buddy Holly age to all the intermixing, and then to like what led into Glenn Campbell's style with the big orchestrations that the Vegas out. And so that if they're looking for the different eras, I would kind of go 1, 2, 3, those three, and then all around it.
That's a great recommendation.
Yeah,
and the King Creole, I love that fucking movie. I love that song. I just can't. That was another one. I just kind of I skated over it just because there's so much stuff. I mean, and there are I won't go back and watch the movies. However, I would recommend. There's a great video. Still have it on VHS, but the Aloha from Hawaii is another one of those brilliant. It was cutting edge. And you're watching it, and it's seriously, it's like caveman fucking just, it's so bad, but it's so good. It's such a timestamp, but it's so funny watching them. Like if you watch any Mystery Science Theater, it's like those really, really poor, like minus C movies, these awful movies. And these guys do. So it's so great. It's so great. It's such a great moment in time. That it was, that was their flying car moment. It was Aloha from Hawaii, and you're kind of watching it going, wow, I can do that on my phone with no battery life.
It cracks me up because that was like his big Hollywood, young, good-looking Elvis, like,
Yes.
And you almost feel sorry for him if you look back at it, now it's like it was so cheesy, but oh man, does he pull it off? Everybody watched it just because, look at young Hollywood Elvis. What a hunk.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying single. I
would love to sit in a room with you three and watch, Clambake or, just watch something like that and do our Mystery Science Theater commentary throughout. I would love to do that. Maybe we'll get a van. Maybe we'll get it in the van next road trip. We'll just shoot it on the screen because I don't watch the fucking road anyway. So,
by the way, whatever movie that is, I'm not sure if it's Clambake or not. That Baby I Don't Care is in, where he's it's like a pool party. He's out dancing and singing the song, and that was one of my watershed moments when I realized I started connecting the dots between him and all the people that I was already influenced by at the time. Because Talking Heads was a huge thing for me when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And because David Byrne's performance in Stop Making Sense is just legendary, and he's doing a lot of really crazy physical things. Like he does this very frequently. He does this thing with his head, like he's shaking his head like this. And to me, that was a David Byrne thing. But then I saw Elvis doing "Baby I Don't Care" in whatever movie that was, and he's doing the same thing. He puts his arms out and he's like, "Hey," I'm like, "Oh, that's where that came from." Baby, I don't care. Of course, he got it. I mean, Elvis got that from the going to church and watching these gospel singers and the crazy stuff that they would do on stage is where a lot of that came from.
Yeah.
But that was one of those moments I started connect. It's exciting when you start connecting dots. I'm like, wow, okay, now I get it where a lot of this stuff comes from.
All right, boss man, full disclosure. I'm going to say it. I wasn't going to say it. I've never seen an Elvis movie.
I haven't. Well, no, I have. I was going to say I'm with you, but no, I did. I did see one.
All right. I thought that was,
all right.
I was like,
Joe,
I'm about to get kicked out.
All right. Let's do that. Let's see. Obviously, time permitting. Let's see if we can do that. Let's see if we can watch one and bring our notes and
Yeah.
I mean,
it'd be great to come back and talk about it.
Just don't watch the new one.
The what? No.
Sorry, I said just don't watch the new one. It just don't.
No.
Oh,
no.
The biopic. Yeah.
Yes. No. I have to say, I would bow out. I wouldn't even. I just couldn't watch it because I don't know why. I don't know why I get so angry. I don't know why I get so. I just so repulsed by the production, by the storyline. And the. I understand the art of it. I understand that people. I love keeping the story alive and but I don't want to watch that shit. I don't want to watch that. This popped in my head. I would love to hear Elvis sing "War Pigs" by Black Sabbath. I don't know why that's just in my fucking head right now. But if you know War Pigs and if you know Elvis, God, I mean, think about. Anyway, sorry. That's another reason why I'm not allowed out in public. Kind of.
Well, we used to have very long conversations about. Wouldn't it be cool if Elvis did this? Wouldn't it be cool if he did that? Could you imagine? Yeah. I have those thoughts all the time. I just had it now when you mentioned Glenn Campbell, Heidi.
Yes.
Like, could you imagine if those two guys got together and did a record together? Just, God damn.
Yeah, Glenn
did
played on the
Elvis ever? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. But I mean, just think if the two of them got together and sang, like, Glenn did I don't know, they collaborated on a whole record.
That would have been amazing. That would have been something.
Could you? There's an endless list of those hypotheticals.
Yeah.
Did he ever sing with Roy Orbison or no? Elvis.
That's another good.
I don't think they actually ever sang together, did they?
I don't think they sang together.
They may have toured together in those early showcase.
Maybe.
Things.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Oh man, would I kill to be in the studio that day? Woo.
Good Lord, yeah.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we put a little bow on this little Elvis Day massacre? Why don't we put a little bow on this and let everybody get back to their lives? And we have because we got a bunch of shit coming up. We got to get young Dennis O'Carroll back on here again. Doc's Irish Tours. Yeah, get this year rolling. This has been really fun though. I like this Elvis thing. I think that there's a few more. I think there's a few more avenues that we should trek.
Oh yeah. On
this subject, and Turbo, you got your work cut out for you. This is a really fun part. This is a really fun part of it because you'll see so many. I wouldn't call them thefts, but I would call them definitely some borrowing done, some light pilfering, some light pilfering. Yeah, like some of these moments. Yeah. But again, the world, the universe that has been changed by Elvis's influence I don't think is can ever be measured. Like you said, how many songs did he record? I don't know. How many songs did he release? I don't know. Like, fun story. What was like Dolly Parton. He was going to record "I Will Always Love You," and Dolly Parton was thrilled. But Colonel Tom Parker said, "We don't pay. Basically, you give us the song." And she's like, "No, I can't give you that
She
song."
said no.
So, yeah. So
And I think she struggled with that. She cried over that. But she did not want to let go of that song. She knew she shouldn't just bear it. Turbo might have fun with this. If you research some of the current like chart toppers in current music, you will find how many of them love Elvis and use stuff from his music. And the recent covers of some of his songs, like, well, Can't Help Falling is done all over the place. But a lot of the really good singers now that are in like the new hip hop rap, all of that mainstream stuff, Nick will find them and play them for me. And I'm like, he's so got that from Elvis. And if you go and Google these guys, and I can't remember most of their names, but they will say that their influence was Elvis. So that might be a little project for you, is see who's in the top now and Google which ones of them have Elvis as an influence in their music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the idea of watching a movie together. I really would like to see one of the. I'd love to rewatch some. I've seen them all. I've seen every movie, but none of them stuck with me. So because it was just hard to watch your hero. It would be like watching Elvis join Poison or something. It'd be like, what the fuck? It's so bad. It was just the scripts were so bad, and there was nothing. The best Elvis movie ever made was Top Secret, and he wasn't in it. But it was it was a play on Elvis's movie career. And if you get a chance, watch Top Secret with Val Kilmer, and I promise you, howling laughter, and very, very fun. A very, very fun version of an Elvis movie.
Now you know what I do for an encore.
This has been a really, really fun SlapperCast episode 250,000, and we got a lot of work. I'm getting on the phone right now. I've got a bunch of stuff. I got a lot of loose ends here to tie up, so I got to get going. But I want to thank you all for your Elvis contributions. That was very cool.
Yes, and please give us your favorite songs. In the comments, or anything we didn't mention that you think needs to have a light shown on it. If you're into the movies, is King Creole the best one, or do you have another one we should check out? Which movie should Turbo watch first?
I would say Kid Galahad, because you kind of have that. You kind of have that. You kind of have that thing.
What do I have?
Well, you're hitting the gym every day, the GIM and the GYM. So you got a JIM. Yeah. So
Boss, come on.
I know. It's what I do.
All right, let's wrap it up and get out of here.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for telling your friends. Thank you for thank you Patreon too. Let's get another one under our belt here ASAP. Cool?
ASAP. Yeah. And join us in Ireland. Blaggards.com/Ireland. All the info you need right there.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Little less conversation. Cheers.
Okay, that's what you feel about it. Goodbye.